Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching or listening. It's great to have you all. We got lots to talk about. What a weekend. What a weekend. My goodness. But there's some very interesting developments that we need to discuss as to what is happening with this market. Is the bull market still alive? Well, I got data to share with you. I got macro factors and much more. On your way in, smash the thumbs up button, the heart button, the like button, wherever you're watching and listening, guys. Hash 40 says, Larry Fink would never lie. Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying Larry Fink wouldn't lie, but Larry Fink cares about making money and he's going to talk his book, right? So that's the name of the game. Talk your book when you've already positioned yourself. So we want to ride that wave, the institutional wave, where they've taken their position, they talk their books, pump the markets, and we take our profits along with them. Crypto Rafi, great to see you. Josh Clark, welcome in. Someone special, good morning. Freddie Falconer, good afternoon. Michael M, GM, great to have you. Thank you for being a channel member, by the way. Kiza, hey Tony, Zebek, Rolando Lima, great to have you. Good morning. Leo Messi, GM, not your day. Hey Tony, great to have you. Sunlight, great to have you. Michael Carter, GM, H bar to $1.22. Your lips to God's ears, my friend. I want over $1 H bar. That would be amazing. It's just me. Welcome in from Scotland. Great to have you. Josh Clark says, I got a meeting in 10 minutes, but wanted to jump in and say thank you. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Klaus, good morning from the Bahamas. Wow. Klaus, I wish I was in the Bahamas right now. It's here in the Northeast. It's cold and rainy. It's the fall weather, but wouldn't mind being in the Bahamas. CS Gray says, GM, Carpe Diem from St. Kitts. Wow. Great to have you from St. Kitts. Wouldn't mind being in St. Kitts as well. We got Bad Fox, welcome in. Pascal Gonzalez, good afternoon from Rotterdam. Good to have you all, guys. Once again, smash the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, the like button, wherever you're watching and listening. We're streaming on multiple platforms. YouTube, of course, X, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We got rumble.com, kick.com. So we're broadcasting on multiple platforms, getting the word out there, guys. Okay. Let's kick it off. I know I'm running a bit late this morning. I had some technical issues. So, folks, after a crazy Friday, a bloody Friday, with Trump tweeting out about the 100% tariffs on China, we know all markets crashed, and it was the biggest liquidation in the history of the crypto market. Now, not the biggest crash, but the liquidation, because there was so much leverage longs, so many people in leverage, they got wiped out. There's some really bad and sad stories that are coming out, and it really sucks, but this is why you don't use leverage. And if you do use leverage, be smart, right? Let it be like 10% of your portfolio. Majority of us that are watching and listening here are in spot. We buy the blood on the streets, we buy the dips, and we hold to the euphoric blow off tops. But when you gamble a lot with leverage, you got to know that the house always wins, and any type of black swan event or whatever it may be can wipe you out. So you got to be smart, right, guys? So if I were to use leverage, it would only be maybe 5 to 10% of my portfolio. I will still hold my spot bag, and that would be the core of my portfolio. So, guys, after the massive flash crash and then Trump backtracking yesterday, posting that, oh, it was just a misunderstanding, me and President Xi, he's a good guy, blah, 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 right? The whole dog and pony show. The market started to rebound. So Bitcoin and some alts started waking up. The S&P 500 also seeing a little green candle on here. But this is nothing to call home about. As I said in yesterday's podcast, we could still see more volatility to the downside, where you have like a retest, right? This is par for the course. The one good thing is that Bitcoin is near that oversold zone from the daily RSI. So could it roll down and go below the 37 or 38 it hit with the crash? Sure. So just be mentally prepared for it is the point, because we're not day trading here, obviously, and we're not using leverage, so we don't have anything to worry about. So right now, the bears are in control. The daily chart shows the bears are in control based on the MACD. On the weekly chart, the bears are in control as well. So again, there could be further downside before we really start rallying. One good thing is that on the higher time frame of the monthly, we see that that crash is not even registering on the monthly, right? In fact, the mini red candle that was there flipped to green, and yes, it's ebbing and flowing right now. It's going to oscillate for over the next week or so, but you can see the RSI where my mouse cursor is nowhere near the overheated, overbought zones we saw at previous tops. We haven't even come close, folks. And the MACD, again, the data shows the bulls are in full control. So this has not flipped bearish, even though on the short term and midterm of the daily and weekly show the bears are in control. But it's all cyclical, right? So the market will eventually become very oversold, just like it has been overbought at certain points, and then the reverse happens. And we continue to see other markets are ripping, like gold. Gold has been a leading indicator, as we've talked about many times. So gold is just going crazy, over 4,000, of course. And one of the things we've also highlighted is that global liquidity, if you can see the line on my chart here, let me adjust this so it's easier to see here. Global liquidity is still a leading indicator here as to more upside, right? But you can see a topping out. The topping out here is showing, let me actually adjust this so you can see better. A topping out here is kind of forecasted in December. So let's see how this all plays out, folks. It will be very interesting if we have a blow off top come late December, or it spills into 2026. So let's see what global liquidity does. Now, we're not only looking at global liquidity, right? Because we don't want to have tunnel vision and just look at one or two metrics. We got to look at the whole thing. So I've been sharing with you guys, variety of metrics, and it shows the top is not in. Now, some things to keep in mind is that we continue to see whales are buying. So on-chain data shows whales are buying. You even have Michael Saylor and Strategy. They've went ahead and bought more Bitcoin as well. And you got the digital asset treasury companies, similar to Michael Saylor's Strategy, that continue to buy altcoins. So Bitmine, which is headed up by Tom Lee, their Ethereum holdings are in the top 3 million, I should say, of ETH after the latest multi-million-dollar purchase. So again, if they're doing the stock arbitrage, they need the price to go higher. So they're not buying if we have topped out and we're about to dump into lower prices, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And then with the reversal that we're seeing in the markets, the total spot Bitcoin ETF trading volume surpassed $1 billion in the first 10 minutes of trading today. So the other factor is Trump is backtracking on the tariff stuff. So Scott Bessent on the China trade says tariffs, 100% of the tariffs doesn't have to happen. Of course, right? And then if you look at this, the hiring job numbers in the economy, the hiring is at its lowest level since 2009. So what does that mean? Well, you guys may have seen my tweet from yesterday about this. I said, I see a bullish setup coming, which includes the following macro factors / narratives. 1, Trump backtracks or delays the China tariffs again. The US government opens up, right? Because right now we're in a shutdown. The Fed cuts rates again. And the Clarity Act gets passed, and the SEC approves the altcoin ETF applications. So I believe you have all of these things. I don't believe they're going to happen on the same day or the same week. But the point is they're going to happen within the same 2 to 3 month time frame, which will be very bullish in the markets, right? You have these huge narratives that are being pushed by mainstream media. And if they're getting resolved and things are opening up, it's going to, I think, drive a lot of bullish momentum into the markets. Now, that could lead us to the blow off top, right? So I'm not saying the market goes up forever. Obviously, I've been saying there's a top coming. I don't believe the top is in yet, though, if you know what I mean. And then today we saw that the CFTC launched Solana and XRP regulated options. So this is on the futures, of course. Now, I know some of you are going to say, this is not good, Tony. I know it's not good. I know they're going to use this to short it, but there's a process to all of this, right? They're not going to start going ham on the markets as far as shorting immediately, but when the top is rolling around, they're going to put their shorts in, right? But we're going to look to exit the market by then using the different data points. one of the things I forgot to pull up, and let me do that right now because I want to make sure you guys see the data. Let's do this. Okay, so Bitcoin whale activity still shows the whales are accumulating, so that's a very good sign. The other factor I need to show you guys is the Bitcoin MVRV, because that will give us an idea of if that has been reset. That's if Bitcoin is overvalued or undervalued in the market and our trader is in profit. So with that move, actually, it looks like the data still needs to be updated. So we're going to have to wait maybe a day or two for the data to catch up, because this shows October 8th. So we need more information. So they're still waiting for this data to roll in. So let's skip this for now. So folks, like I said, bull market still intact, I believe, based on the data, not emotions, not feelings. Yes, I want to make money, but I'm also a realist. So if things are flashing, top is in, then I'm going to say, okay, guys, pack it up. But I think the charts, I think on-chain data, the sentiment and much more, plus these macro narratives and factors are still ahead. And we've never seen a blow off top or the market top out where there's fear, right? It's always euphoria. It's always the taxi cab drivers and your grandma telling you to buy Bitcoin and crypto, and that now is a great time to invest, right? And then, guys, this was a big one. Larry Fink went on 60 Minutes. And what have I said? I think some of you may recall over the years, when you see Larry Fink go on TV and he's talking positively about crypto, you know he's talking his bag. You know a pump is coming, right? We've seen this time and time again, folks. Larry's not going to go on TV and talk positively about crypto if the top is in and he can't make more money off of it. What's the point? What's the point? The point that these guys do is that they've taken their position, they go on TV and talk positively about it. That adds fuel to the fire for the pump to continue, and they exit the market, right? So if the top is in, let's say Bitcoin top last week with that crash or whatever, why the hell would Larry Fink be going on TV? Why would he waste his time? Again, you got to understand how this all works, how the game is played. So he went on 60 Minutes. I can't play the clip for you. You guys can follow me on X. Let me put the link in the chat here so you can watch it on X, because I don't want to get copyrighted. Let me put it in here so you guys can pull it up. But he said there is a role for crypto the same way there is for gold. This is not a bad asset, and that people should get diverse, access to it. So I see some people in there saying, "Hey, but there could be a bearish case here." Yes, I'm not denying the bearish case, right? Like I started off the stream with, I said the bears are in control on the daily and the weekly. But you can't just look at the daily and weekly. You got to look at all the data points and look at everything together, right? You can't just look at one chart or two charts. You got to look at multiple factors. And like I said, on the higher time frame, how can we be in a bear market or the top is in if the bulls are still in control and the RSI is not even overheated? So how do you correlate that, right? And this is where you have to do your own research. You're going to hear a lot of differing opinions. So I don't want you to blindly follow me. I don't want you to be a cult member and just blindly follow me because you've been following me for years and you take everything I say as gospel. Go look at different point of views. Go pull up the charts and the data points and say, is Tony right or is he wrong? Right? I see people follow a lot of influencers blindly. Oh, this influencer said it's such, so that means it must be such. No. You have to look at multiple people. I've often told you guys, I look at Alessio Rastani, blockchain backer, the guys at Merlin Trader. I look at Jason and Michael Pizzino, a lot of different folks, Kevin Svensson, because I look at what are the data points they're using, right? And make sure I have the full lay of the land, right? The full 360 view. So I hope you appreciate that. I hope you appreciate it. I'm not telling you to blindly follow me, but I'm just sharing the data points. And if you have a data point or multiple factors, say, hey, Tony, I think that might be wrong. I think your thesis is off. Here's why. Not, oh, this one person said this is how it is. Well, you got to show me the data, right? Not just that someone just said so. So guys, excuse me, based on the Take a sip of water here. Okay, that's better. So guys, we got to look at the data. We got to look at the multiple factors. We got to look at the macro. You can't just look at charts. I often tell chart people who are just straight up chart guys, hey, you got to take into consideration the macro. You know, there's people who in the past have called for massive crashes, 1929 type stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. You do understand that the central banks are not going to let that happen, because if they do that, the collateral goes to zero, and that will wipe out people's savings. It will make them lose confidence in the government and the currency, and then you will have them fighting in the streets. So how can you say 1929 is coming? They're not going to let it happen again. 2008 is the model. COVID crash is the model. They will bail it out, right or wrong. They will bail it out because they can't let the collateral go down. Yes, markets will have corrections, but they won't be what people are saying, 1929, 2008 all over again. They're not going to let those things happen to that degree. They're going to make sure that people can still afford to have food, and that the assets don't go too low, or else, once again, it's going to be end of civilization. If you understand macroeconomics and human behavior, you know what I'm talking about. So that's why the Fed, the central banks, and all these guys, they have to continue to inject liquidity and do quantitative easing and much more. Folks, hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button if you want this bull market to continue and things to go higher. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the heart button, the like button, and much more. And guys, check out our sponsors. Uphold, great crypto platform to buy, sell, and stake crypto assets. They have 300 plus crypto assets on their platform, Bitcoin and all the top altcoins. You can stake 20 plus cryptocurrencies. They have a great stablecoin rewards program where you can earn yield, and it's done the right way. I've been a user since 2018. And also check out Trezor. They make beautiful hardware wallets that make it easy for you to self-custody your assets. I'm a user of the Trezor Safe 5, which you see here on the screen. It's a beautiful hardware wallet, big screen, easy to use. And they also were the first ones to invent or create the hardware wallets and the seed phrase setup. They have support for all the top coins, guys. Everything is here. They have a Trezor software suite that helps you to manage all of this. And if you use my code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, ThinkingCrypto, you can get 5% off. Check out Proppy. I'm a Proppy token holder. They're putting real estate on chain, folks. You can buy and sell real estate on Proppy with crypto, and they use Coinbase for the crypto escrow service. Billionaire investor Tim Draper is an investor and a believer in this project. And folks, they're tokenizing real estate, putting deeds on chain, and much more. Check out VeChain, one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains out there. I am a VET token holder. They're partnered with many brands and companies. They're partnered with Dana White in the UFC. You may recall recently, Dana White said he bought over $1 million in VET token. And in addition, they have staking that they recently launched with Stargate. So check that out. And also check out iTrust.Capital, a great way to invest and custody your crypto assets. Because you're doing it via an IRA, you're getting huge tax benefits, and they use bank-tiered institutional grade custody services like Coinbase Custody, Fidelity Digital Assets, Fireblocks. So this is, I would say, the second safest way to custody your assets, because aside from self-custody, you want to use stuff that the institutions are using. So like they're using the same custodian that BlackRock uses for crypto. So check out iTrust.Capital. If you use my link, you can get a $100 funding bonus. Links will be in the description. Okay, folks. So once again, we got charts, we got on-chain data, we got sentiment and the user behavior, and you got these macro factors, right, that are still ahead of us, which I think can contribute to a final run up to a blow-off top. So I think the higher probability falls on the bull case. Again, I'm not ignoring the bear case, right? I want you guys to understand that there will be a time that I turn bearish. There will be a time I will be like, sell, sell, sell. We are heading into a bear market. It's over, right? That's going to be the time I'm going to start beating the drum and yelling from the rooftops. So Larry Fink, once again, I think this is a signal. These guys talk their bags, right? They talk their books. So the fact that he's going on 60 minutes now talking great about crypto is a very positive sign, in addition to the other factors I mentioned. Now, look at this. China Renaissance in talks to raise $600 million for US listed BNB Treasury vehicle. Why would they do this if the arbitrage is the stock aspect, right? So if the markets have topped, why the hell would you go and invest at this point? And if the stock market is topping out as well, why would you do that? Right? Put your thinking cap on here. So we're seeing a lot of folks who are using different crypto assets as a treasury reserve. And that's their strategy. And once again, the play is the stock arbitrage, right? So based in Beijing, but listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the Chinese investment bank previously allocated $100 million to a BNB treasury strategy. And they're looking to do one for a US listed company. So let's see what they come up with here. Look at this news around Ripple. So Ripple and Immunify launch a hackathon aimed at securing proposed XRP lending protocol. So this is interesting. Many of you know I'm an XRP holder. So the protocol is expected to be a validator vote later this year, introducing pooled lending and underwritten credit natively on the XRP ledger. Huge news if you're an XRP token holder. We continue to see adoption is skyrocketing for the XRP ledger. And, you know, there's a lot of haters that were saying, oh, but nobody's using it. Yeah, no kidding, because Ripple is under a lawsuit. Who the hell would do that? Put themselves at risk. But if you look at the data now, right, we always believe looking at the data, we see the XRP ledger is jumping on the list here. It is currently number 10, folks, right? Let's open up the data here. So you got to show the facts and the data to the haters, because look at this. Look at when this thing went crazy, around when the SEC Ripple lawsuit wrapped up. This looks like growth to me. Look at that, continual growth, clear uptrend, right? And this is RWA.XYZ. You can bookmark it. You can go look at the tokenization stats for every blockchain out there. Well, at least the major ones, right? And something that started last night won't have much data. So you see institutions building on the XRP ledger. So the haters are in shambles. They're going to try to make up lies, but look at this. The XRP ledger, once again, number 10 on the league table, guys. And that's with its hand tied behind its back for years and people not building on it because of the lawsuit. But that has been wrapped up and it jumped up. So that's really, really great stuff, guys. And this is, once again, bookmark this site, rwa.xyz. Great place to check on the blockchain stats. So if you're looking to invest in a specific token, you can go look at its blockchain and see, is it getting adoption? Are people building on it, right? So this is a great, great site to bookmark, folks. So great news here for Ripple and the XRP ledger. So guys, I want to answer some questions. We can look at more charts, of course. And like I said, I think the higher probability now, not a certainty, but the higher probability is on the bull side that this is not over. Again, with all the things I mentioned, with the other markets performing well, in addition to Trump backtracking, rolling back, right, on the tariffs and much more. And the Fed, I think more cuts are coming. You still have the Clarity Act. You got the government opening up. This, like the government opening up, for me is not something that's bullish for me because I'm educated about the markets, but it's for the average Joe and Jane. Oh, the government open up back. They're going to, keep funding and yada, yada. That's a big narrative for people who are listening to like Jim Cramer out there, right? Unfortunately, I wish more people would tune into this podcast so you can get educated, and to other folks who are actually talking data and facts and not bullshit, right? But this is the nature of markets. Folks, again, hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, hit the like button wherever you're watching and listening. It supports the stream, doesn't cost you anything. Guys, subscribe if you haven't as yet. Today says Larry wants to sell. Yes. Is Larry going to sell at essentially with the market rolling over in the no, he wants to sell into the pump. He's going on TV to pump his and talk his books, right? So Abby Services, Larry, send the signal to sale. And Matt Shang says inverse Kramer. Yeah, so I was gonna say Scramer, but Jim Cramer, he got his good, guys. I think you all saw my post, because on September 29th, the man was tweeting buy crypto. Then the same week he went on CNBC Fast Money with Andrew Ross Sorkin, which he usually doesn't. He doesn't go on that show, and he's like, yeah, crypto's great. And of course we pumped, and then what happened. But we'll look at what he was saying just recently. Very bearish statements, right? Very quick decline, not needed on a Friday. Could cause some heavy selling in some of the most extended stocks. It falls faster than it goes higher. So as long as he's bearish, that's very good. When he turns bullish again, that's bad, right? So Abby Server says, I'm the exit. I will be buying the highs. Yeah, Mr. D. Hey, retailer, you always need to remember one thing. You are the absolutely. And that's the thing where we have learned, we have become educated, so we're not part of the dumb money crowd, right? Demo says, Thinking Crypto, have you watched BCB's video from today where he gives a very good argument that the top is in and XRP begin? Yeah, so Demo, again, he's giving that scenario that is a realistic scenario. So I'm not denying it. I'm not saying it's not possible, right? Anything is possible. The question is it probable, right? Because we're talking probability. So that's what I'm saying. The bull case, I don't agree. I think the bull case has the higher probability of playing out based on all the factors I just shared with you. Damascus says, no one knows, but we take our best guess. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. This is all probabilities, right? But at least, Damascus, it's not, oh, I feel great today, so I think the bull market's there. No. We want to use the data, right? So I'm presenting the data to you guys. Obviously, do your own research. I don't claim to be Nostradamus or something like that, or I have a crystal ball, but I'm saying based on the data, I think the higher probability is the bull case. Jennifer McBee, thank you for being a channel member. Says, sorry, joined late. Did you already discuss what the SEC of Commerce said about gifting items to the government? Jennifer, I didn't hear about that. I'm not sure what that is. What is that? SEC of Commerce? Secretary of Commerce? Gifting items to the government. I can you give some more context or details? I don't know what specifically what that is, honestly. If you can provide some more details, please. Thanks, Vadim. Thank you for joining. Not Your Day says, I appreciate your views, Tony, because you combine stuff. You are like a basket of data in one shot. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing I've learned, Not Your Day, because I've seen chart guys get wrecked because they only look at the chart. But you have to take into consideration what governments are doing, the macro, liquidity, because those things, for example, what happened in 2008? What happened in COVID? The government stepped in. Guys, the government shut down the economy in COVID, but markets still rallied. Why? Is it because of charts? No, they printed more money than the history of the world, right? So again, that you can't just say, oh, but the charts showed it. Yeah, but guess what? If the government didn't do anything, nothing, the charts wouldn't do what you were expecting. So you have to look at both sides, and the puzzle pieces all come together, right? It's so important to look at it from a very holistic standpoint. Yeah, exactly, Freddie. Why would BlackRock purchase more Bitcoin if it's on its way down? They won't. Exactly, right? This is where logic and reason have to come into play, because charts alone can't just be your North Star. You have to look at multiple factors. Again, what did I say earlier? Why the hell would Larry Fink go on TV to pump this? We've seen him do this before in this bull market, and usually a pump follows. So why would he go on 60 Minutes to the masses? Why wouldn't he have done this 2 months ago or a month ago, right? And catch and have Bitcoin go higher and take his profit. Why would he do it now when people are saying the top is in or we're in a bear market, right? Come on, man. You think these Wall Street guys are stupid? You think Larry Fink is an idiot? Come on. Yeah, exactly, Demo. Larry Fink pump incoming for sure. Thanks, Matt. Hit that hard like button, heart button, and much more, folks. Oil Bitcoin to the Moon says, why do you think retail hasn't jumped in yet, even when BTC new high hits? Well, a couple of things. I think we're not in the stage of the market where altcoins have gone ballistic. Bitcoin is something people pay attention to, but most see Bitcoin as unreachable. Oh my God, it's over 100,000. I can't afford that, but I can afford XRP and other altcoins that are less. In addition, I think they haven't gotten the huge narrative, which let me pull it up here again. My list of things that I think are coming up, they don't have the huge narratives that have created euphoria yet, because retail is very narrative driven, right? So I think that's part of it. I think the other aspect is we haven't seen, while we've seen liquidity injections, we haven't seen like these, how should I put it, the true dovishness from the Fed that, okay, we're in trouble, we need to cut rates aggressively, and we're going to maybe do some quantitative easing or things like that, based on what we've seen historically, like in 2020, right? So the narratives are not all there to create euphoria, but I think it's coming, right? I think this is why I shared these different factors, because they can really trigger some of it. Now, have we seen some level of euphoria? Yeah, absolutely. Just look at what happened in Q4, right? We had major rally up, even in the beginning of 2024 with the Bitcoin ETFs launch, right? But we haven't seen that parabolic move. And I think retail, where the taxi cab drivers and your grandma and everybody needs to get in, I think you need the narratives there. That's my 2 cents on it. And I think with the liquidity surge and you know how we get into that final phase, then everybody's going to be super happy. Yeah, retail is broke because of everything that's happening. But if they have a really solid narrative, they will jump in. And, for example, if Trump is saying, hey, I'm going to give everybody a stimulus check off the tariff revenue, you know what's going to happen, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Abby Service says, Larry, need to hurry up with the XRP ETF. Yeah, look, I think BlackRock's going to jump in. At which point, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think they would just watch, the other firms make money off of XRP and Solana and not jump in. Balls out 12 says they are just setting up retailer. Yeah, unfortunately, that is how the game is played. That's why I said, think about why Larry Fink is going on TV now and telling the masses on 60 Minutes, this is a great investment. You should put some of your portfolio in it. It's just like gold, right? Why is he doing that now? He's setting up the exit liquidity. So I wouldn't just say the bull market is still alive because of this. I would say this and the other factors I listed. Matt Chang says, we need the DEM shutdown to end or the ETF approvals. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it will, though. Guys, again, if go back to reality, how long can they keep this going? And history has shown us that they can't keep the government shut down. They're going to write the check. Guys, they're going to sign the check. And they're going to open it back up. Okay? This is all a dog and pony show. How many times have we seen this? And markets are forward-looking. Markets know they can't do that because people will be rioting in the streets, and they don't want that to happen. Jim Cramer says we are back. I saw that, but I don't think he meant the markets. I think he was talking about something else. Let's see. Yeah, look, he posted that we're back at a location. Because he didn't say anything about it. It wasn't just like we're back. He's saying we're back at a certain location. So I don't think that's the market, if you know what I mean. Abby Sir says, when my wife asks me about buying crypto, that's when I sell. Yeah, for sure. Jason WB Langley says, I'm broke, but I bought the dips. Obviously, guys, only invest what you're willing to lose. That's the way to go about it, right? You don't want to put your life savings into this. Like, I saw comments of people getting wiped out because they were in leverage, and like, I lost my life savings. Like, bro, why would you put your life savings in any assets? You need cash. You need diversification. You got to have some fiat, because we all got to live. We live in a fiat driven world, and you want to make sure that you have liquid cash. You have liquidity to do things. For you have your, what did they call it? The rainy day fund, right? And then let alone, let's say you put your cash into an investment. Why the hell would you leverage that? That's just being greedy, man. You know, there's a saying, bulls and bears make money and pigs get slaughtered, right? Jeff Capital says, hey, Tony, thanks for your show. What are your thoughts on Matic / Polygon? So I hold some Matic tokens. Let me pull it up here for you guys. I'm hoping it does well, Jeff. I'm sure you are as well, that we do really well this cycle. Let me turn this thing off here and clear it out. Okay. Is this the best Matic chart? I just want to get one that's a bit... Let's see here. So Matic, if I'm not mistaken, was launched in 20. Okay, so the top was like around $2, and so we're seeing a lot of weakness on Matic, which I'm not happy about, of course, because I am a token holder. A lot of weakness, guys, and even in, you know, the Q4 rally, it didn't like. I mean, I guess it did okay in 2023, but then it's been on the decline since then. So we're seeing lower lows, right? Which is rough. Now, it doesn't mean it can't rebound and do somewhat retrace here. It's not really too far from its all-time high, so it won't take too much liquidity to get it up, but it's showing a ton of weakness, if you know what I mean. So if we do a comparison to, let's say, the XRP chart, lots of strength, right? It's still holding. It's showing higher highs and higher lows. Same thing with Solana, higher highs and higher lows. So I would like to see more strength there. But Jeff, you know, when we hit that euphoria phase, I think anything is possible for some of these coins. And, you know, on RWA.xyz, I was looking at this the other day. Polygon is number 3 from a tokenization and a real world asset tokenization standpoint. So there's utility. I think the narrative just has to get out there. I think I will be interviewing someone from Polygon soon. I'll let you guys know. I'm in contact with some folks, but it's not confirmed yet. So I'm hoping the narratives catch up, and when we hit that euphoric phase, Matic can really rally. But the good thing is not far from its all-time high. So we'll have to be patient there. Not Your Day says, some people run away when they realize, oh, they just set up retail. Time in the market, not timing the market. Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. Guys, there's coins I still have in my portfolio from 2017, believe it or not. Because I'm like, I have a little bit of it. I don't need the money right now, in a sense of I'm in some sort of financial situation where I need to liquidate. And I just left it in there. For example, I give an example, Litecoin. I literally have a bunch of Litecoin from 2017, 2018-ish. It's not a massive bag where it's going to make life-changing money for me. Don't get me wrong. If I cash out right now, it'd be a nice profits. But I just let it sit there, and it's been growing, right? So it's up, and when I'm ready to exit the market, I'll obviously liquidate it. But that's an example. I've had some coins for years. Jose, not Jose. Good morning, Tony. When pulling a Fibonacci pull, would you do it from the bottom of the wick or the daily close? New to this, thanks. So I usually do from the cycle peak or from the recent local top down to the bottom, if that makes sense. Looks like my chart's off here, actually. And this is just to get an approximation. And of course, you can also do Elliott Wave. So I follow a lot of guys who do Elliott Wave because, once again, I'm not a Wall Street analyst. I'm not a super expert, but over the years, I've learned enough to get an idea where we're at, right? And you can see if you just do this, I think Bitcoin is the best chart to do this on because it has the most history and you can use it as a model for other crypto assets because we know for the most part, altcoins follow Bitcoin's move. So for this cycle, one of the things I did is a fib off the 2021 high down to the low in November, December 2022. And you can see clearly the different levels we've broken through and why I think there's still more upside, that Bitcoin in its past has broken through that 3.618. Now, there's no guarantee it does that, but there's a probability it can. So let's say we just, this time around, just get to the 2.618. That puts us at just over 160,000. So you can see how you can use these models to get an idea, an approximation of what's happening. Now, once again, this can't be your North Star alone. You got to use multiple factors. You got to look at Elliott Wave. You got to look at on-chain data. You got to look at global liquidity. You got to look at market sentiment. You got to look at macro narratives, right? And things that are coming up. Yeah, for sure. Nova Crypto, don't be a pig. Yeah, for sure. That's how you get wrecked. Jason, oh yeah. So Jason, these Democrats, those who are still trying to do shady stuff with crypto, they're going to lose their shirt because the crypto industry is already piling up capital for the midterms. So they want to keep doing nonsense, But also you got to keep in mind, some of this is a negotiating tactic. They're going to go on the extreme end and then bring it to the table, and then they're going to negotiate. Okay, well, you give me this, you give me that, right? So a bit of it is that. Let's see. Faden Tradfi says, or pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Wise Old Man says, hey, Tony, apparently XRP does not need the Clarity Act. It has already been deemed a commodity, and Swift is flipping a switch. So to speak, sometime in November 2025, fully migrating to ISO 20022. Is this true? No, here's the thing. Be careful what you hear from people. Yes, Ripple has the Clarity, but you have to understand that these institutional investors and big players are not just looking at Ripple and XRP. They're looking at the whole market. And they know their legal teams are telling them, hey, okay, that one asset in Bitcoin may have Clarity, but the application of the asset, how can you use it? Because if you take it and use it in a certain way and the government doesn't like that, you get hit with fines and much more. So you need the Clarity Act, right? Because there are different use cases, different industries. So it's not just the asset has the clarity, it's how can you use it that needs clarity as well. So be careful with people who are just pushing the narrative, oh, well, they can do whatever. Well, why aren't they? Why aren't they? They need the clarity. Institutions don't just operate based on a single lawsuit. They need the government to say, this is okay and this is not okay. Josh Clark says, do you think XLM is at a good price for entry? I'm bullish on HBAR and XRP, but looking at potential elsewhere during this tip. Sure, let's look at XLM. So I have XLM in my portfolio. Heads up, I'm actually interviewing Denell Dixon, the CEO of the Stellar Foundation, tomorrow, guys. So I'll try to get that interview published for you guys by next week or so. So let's take a look at the Stellar chart. Let's do XLM USD. Okay, Stellar's chart, or XLM, is very strong. You see higher highs, higher lows, right? That's the important thing we're seeing there. Is we know it mimics XRP from a trading standpoint. By the way, all my charts here are off. There has to be some kind of adjustment here to the lows of the, I guess the date, there was a data refresh or something. Anyway, excuse me. So would I be buying XLM here? No. Now, can you buy XLM here and make a return if, you know, based on where we're at? Sure. But I would be buying down here in the bloody bear market. Now, if Josh, if you, this is just my honest opinion. Now, if I had some extra cash and so forth, sure, you could put some in here, and I think you'll make some decent upside, but you won't make as much upside as if you bought down here, right? So I want to make sure that's clear. Again, I'm not saying you can't make money. I think you will, but you won't get the same percentage gain. But, you know, if I was to take a position here, right, I was the average Joe and I'm entering the crypto market now, yeah, this is not a bad spot. We're in a corrective move, right? Pullback. So buy the dips, right? We're down. And there's still more upside. We're not far from the old all-time highs. Now, I know the 2021 bull market was cut short because this mimics XRP, and XRP's bull run was cut short, but you see the all-time highs back in 2018, but we're not far from that. So I think XLM will certainly hit new all-time highs based on where we're at, not far from breaking through. And could we see up to near $2? It's possible. It's possible. So you can make a decent return there, but I'm personally not buying right now. I loaded up my bags down here, even in these corrective phases in early 2025 with the tariff crash. I bought a little bit more, but I'm not buying right now. I'm just sitting back waiting for the blow off top to take profits. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for signing up for the course. So folks, many of you know I have a course at mycryptocourse.com. This teaches you everything about crypto. What makes it unique and different from other courses out there, it features expert commentary. All those people I've interviewed, founders, CEOs, institutional investors, I asked them to explain crypto in mini bites. And so there's videos in here, write-ups, downloadable materials. So for example, have Carlos Domingo, CEO and co-founder of Securitize, explain tokenization to you and much more. So this course offers something unique, packed with tons of value. You can look at the curriculum. So folks, check it out. Go to mycryptocourse.com. Also check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And guys, make sure you sign up for the free email newsletter. It is 100% free, guys. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can see I share a lot of data points and charts in here. So it's a great way to get educated and stay up to date with what's happening in the market. I only put it out once per week, so you're not getting spammed, right? My goal is not to spam, but to give you guys as much information so we can be as educated and up to date with the market. And, you know, when I'm taking profits and looking at certain things that are triggering the top, I will be obviously writing up on it in my newsletter. So make sure you subscribe, guys. It's free. And folks, once again, check out our sponsors, Uphold, great place to buy, sell, and stake your crypto assets. Trezor, great hardware wallets. They make it easy for you to self-custody your crypto assets. Beautiful devices. I'm a user of the Trezor Save 5. Use the code ThinkingCrypto to get 5% off. Also, check out Proppy. I'm a Proppy token holder. They're leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. This is a great project that I'm a big believer in. And VeChain, which is one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains. I'm a VET token holder, getting lots of adoption from big brands and companies around the world. Also check out iTrust Capital, great place to invest and custody your assets because you can get incredible tax benefits because you're investing via an IRA. And if you use my link, you can get $100 funding bonus. So check out all the sponsors. The links will be in the description. Guys, let me just check my calendar here because I have some interviews scheduled. So I want to make sure I can go a little bit longer. Yeah, I can go a little bit longer, maybe another 5 minutes or so. So folks, once again, as we talked about at the beginning, I believe the higher probability is on the bull side based on multiple factors. Is there a bear scenario? Absolutely. Absolutely, right? But I think that has a lower probability of playing out. All the key macro structure support levels are still there. Look at Bitcoin. Perfect bounce on that 200-day moving average. For those of you who have followed me, you know what I've said. If we are above this 200-day moving average and we are comfortably above that, we are in a bull market. When we are below it, we are in a bear market. Now, you may say, Tony, but look at these dips below it. Yes, but we recovered, right? So if you go back through the history of Bitcoin, look at this moving average. It's the line in the sand. Look at 2022. Below it in a downtrend, clear bear market. Once we come out and we're above it in an uptrend, bull market, right? Look at all the bull and bear market cycles, guys. Go to tradingview.com, just pull it up and you will see. Now, once again, it's one factor amongst many others. So you want to validate this with other information. So we don't want to be blinded or have tunnel vision for one factor, one metric. Again, look at 2017, folks. We are above that 200-day moving average. We come down, we are below it, and we're in a downtrend bear market, right? So the pattern is there, folks, and this is just one metric. So right now we're holding it. Even if we dip below it, what we want to look at is if we come out from, if we V-shape recovery out of it. But it looks like we're going to V-shape out of it here from above it. And look, again, don't be surprised if Bitcoin rolls over to test it again before moving. So something to just keep in mind. Jupiter Galactic Designs, thank you so much for the $5 donation, my friend. Thank you. Says, I'm here for the policy, legislation, and fundamentals. Absolutely. And by the way, I know some of you have been asking, where's the Hester Peirce interview? Well, folks, you won't believe this, but we recorded and then the government shut down. They wanted to review their interview to make sure Hester Peirce didn't say anything that was, not copacetic with the SEC guidelines. And they unfortunately can't review it because the government shut down. So it's been sitting, waiting to be published, unfortunately. And it was such a great conversation. But, soon enough, once the government opens up, we will be able to publish that. So sorry about that, guys, Chris Morton says, what about an entry into Tether? I don't hold this token and I don't know much about it, but let's take a look. I think, guys, something just to keep in mind, if you're buying at these prices, it's good because the rule of thumb, right, is to buy the blood on the streets, buy the dips when people are fearful. But just keep in mind where we're at in the timeline of the market. You may not get as much upside as you're anticipating. Will you make some money? Yeah, because where we're at in the bull market cycle, if the bull market top is not in and you're buying these dips and there's room to run, you're gonna make some profits. Right, but the best time to have bought was, of course, in the bear market. Now, Taylor's chart is showing a lot of weakness, similar to Polygon Matic, right? But like I said, when we hit that euphoria greed zone, we could see a lot of these altcoins rally up because the rising tide lifts all boats. But right now, not looking too strong. The good thing is we saw rallies in March of last year and in December last year. So again, if something big narrative comes out, liquidity starts slushing around again, you can anticipate a run. So it's just understanding these cyclical patterns and what's happening in the market now and what's coming. DeFi More says, didn't take profits in May rally? No, I didn't take. Let me see here. Let me jump back to Bitcoin so we can pull that up. So I did not take profits in the May rally going into the summer. Because my thesis was tariff crash or not, we're headed to new highs based on global liquidity and other factors. I didn't need the money and the markets rallied after May, dude. So why the hell would I take profits in May? I guess DeFi More is a troll. So he's saying everybody should have took profits in May. And if you didn't, you don't know anything about crypto, right? Yet the markets went higher in August. You got to watch out for the trolls, guys. They just talk sentiment and nonsense, but they don't share data. Okay, so XRP highs. Okay, let's look at XRP. So XRP, despite, obviously taking a beating with this flash crash, still in a solid position for new highs. Fibonacci. So if we're going off of 2018 highs, I see this thing going to, it could possibly go to $8 to $10. That is honestly what I'm thinking. Now, if we were going off of the 2021 highs, that will be a bit lower. Maybe it's like $6 to $8, right? So just keep that in mind. But we're set up for this thing to go higher. And I was telling you guys this, of course, all through the bear market, we're going to go higher, right? Because the case Ripple's going to win it. You guys recall that. There's tons of ETF filings right now. As we highlighted, institutions want XRP. So we got the launch of the futures, options on futures for XRP and Solana and much more. So ideal scenario, guys, $8 to $10 for XRP. Maybe a little less bullish, maybe 6 to 8, right? So let's see how it plays out. This is where, as we start heading up at $5 for XRP, I'm going to start taking profits off the table. I'm not cashing all out, just taking some off the table. Yep, for sure. Thanks, Not Your Day. Appreciate it. Oh, Michael M. So Michael is talking about Mark Yusko's, my interview with Mark Yusko. So many of you may have caught that. Let me pull it up here real quick on my. So guys, watch my interview with Mark Yusko. We talk about, is the top end for the market and so forth. Mark is not a believer in Ripple and XRP, but I respect Mark because of his knowledge. He has a fund, but also Mark is going to talk his book. Everybody talks their book. So Mark is not a believer. He's a very much a big time bull on Bitcoin. And I disagree with him on that, but that's okay. Two things can be true. He believes that and I don't believe it, but we can still get along and have conversations, right? And we can be respectful. So I don't agree with him. I think Mark has a very idealistic view of Bitcoin and altcoins, but I'm more reality based when it comes to that. I'm looking at the charts. I'm looking at adoption, right? Mark is of the mindset, Ripple is trying to create Swift 2.0 or something. And I'm like, okay, but so is Ethereum and other projects, right? You can't stop that. That's the free market. So idealistically, Mark doesn't like that. And that's fine, guys. That's okay. I hold Bitcoin. He holds Bitcoin, but I hold XRP and other tokens as well. And I think he's invested in Avalanche and AVAX, and I hold Avalanche and AVAX. So Mark is one person, and that's his opinion. He does not move the market. In a sense, he's not like the Fed or something, right? So this is where you balance out all these things, right, guys? Folks, let's see. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Been over an hour. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you all. I'm wishing you all the best of luck in this bull market. Like I said, based on the data and the facts, not feelings and emotions, I believe the higher probability is that this bull market's not over. I outlined some major factors, right? We got Larry Fink going on TV again, pumping crypto. That's a major signal in itself. And like I said, we have these major catalysts setting up. Trump backtracking on tariffs or delaying them again. U.S. government reopens. Fed cuts rates again based on job numbers being so bad, right? We know the Fed's mandate to make sure inflation is handled and there's jobs, the economy's running. The Clarity Act still up to be passed. SEC approval of individual altcoin ETFs. That's my thesis based on multiple factors, guys. No emotions. So if you think that's wrong, please share your facts, your data, your charts. And again, don't just listen to me. Listen to other people. Hear more than one voice, guys. Don't cult follow one person. That's very important. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. Get different points of views. Like I've said, I listen to Alessio Rastani, blockchain backer, Merlin trader guys, Jason and Michael Pazzino. They do great Elliott wave analysis and a bunch of other, Kevin Svensson as well. So look and listen to multiple people so you can be as educated as possible. That's how I've learned, to be honest. So I hope you appreciate that. I hope, I'm not telling you just listen to me, I'm right all the time. No. That's nonsense. But I hope you appreciate I'm not sharing my emotions. I'm just sharing the data now, right? And you guys can continue on your journey to learn and to do your analysis. It's a journey. And like I said, I will be ringing the alarm bell that, red flags, top is coming in, and there will be a time I will turn bearish. So hope you appreciate that. I will talk to you guys later. Once again, wishing you all the best of luck in this bull market, that you make incredible returns, and we can party a bit, once we take our profits. Talk to you guys later.